This getting older thing is an absolute joke that needs to be taken back. I'm like, this morning doing some workouts, next tweaked, absolutely in one of the circles of hell. Don't know which one yet because it could get worse. Hopefully, it doesn't get too much worse. But we are live. And if you're watching this on rerun, comment below. I'll make sure to get back to you. But if you are watching this with us live, feel free to comment during the time and I will do my best to answer any and all questions. But we are talking to you right now about the monthly market real estate update, specifically Fort Collins, but also Northern Colorado. We're going to look at Loveland, Greeley, and Windsor, Northern Colorado, really kind of the big heavy hitters in Northern Colorado and how they are reacting together. Are they acting the same, different? Is one area getting impacted more so than the others? But median sales price, days on market, homes under contract, close, new listings, interest rates, all of the things that are moving the market here in Northern Colorado and the rest of the country. Now we are moving into kind of our seasonally slower time. Essentially, mid-September to end of the September kind of marks the end of the selling season. Now we're moving into more of the fall time period. But once we get past October and into middle of November specifically, here in Northern Colorado and around the rest of the country, the real estate market really does die. It goes into hibernation basically until the end of December, but really mid-January to beginning of February when it starts to heat back up and kind of it bottoms out at that time. But we're going to share our screen. We're going to talk about what people love to talk about first and foremost, which is going to be prices. Right now we're looking at a monthly price. Obviously, over the last 5 years, prices have just really increased quite a bit. But this is 1 year over year. But one thing I want to show you is really the rolling 12 month. And now I'm not right on a lot of my predictions. Now, having done these YouTube videos for many years, in January we do an annual prediction, and I go back at the end of the year and I look at how my predictions came to play. And now, one of the things that we actually have been pretty spot on, at least not necessarily with a lot of conversations that we have, is I never thought that there was going to be this huge cliff of price cuts or reductions because it's a pretty solid place to live. It's not, hit and miss. And what I was hoping for, especially because I own, a fair amount of real estate investments, was that we had this run up, but then this plateau for a good long while, which is what we are seeing really since the middle of 2022. So we've had almost 18 months now of kind of flat prices. $620,000. So year over year, we have grown a whopping 0% in Fort Collins, Loveland at 1.9, Greeley 3.6, Windsor at 2.5% versus last year. But Windsor is one of those towns that we'll kind of spend a little bit of time looking at here. All right, I'm going to switch to a bar graph and look at homes for sale. So homes for sale, this is where we're starting to see inventory pick up across all markets. And, especially here in Fort Collins, we're seeing months of supply, which we'll get to next, reaching almost 3 months. A balanced real estate market is between 5 to 6 months. Never in my career have I seen 6 months of real estate, homes for sale and real estate. And I've been buying and selling homes since 2000 and full time since 2013, but I did my first fix and flip in 2009. So that tells you how long I've been doing real estate. Let's just look because we can span out for 5 years. We're getting that for Fort Collins specifically, 410 homes. I mean, since 2014, there's been only one time, and that was in August of 2014, that we had more of 432 homes. So, we are seeing more options for buyers, that they can be slower to act and a little bit more discerning and aggressive on offers, which we'll get to here in a second too. There's also some really interesting data that we'll talk about here shortly. I want to show month supply as well. Again, Fort Collins at 2.8. Shoot, Windsor's really kind of this interesting place because, pricing and new homes on the market, it's a quickly growing community. We've just recently did a video on Windsor and how their population's at 42,000, and over the next 17 years, so by 2041, on the low end of expectations, they are slated to be around 60,000 people, and on the high end, 80,000 people. So Windsor is this really interesting place because they just have so much development, construction going on in the area. But they've got, as you can see, 3.6 months worth of inventory and 71% increase versus last year. And Loveland up 68%. Now, Fort Collins had a massive increase in 2023 versus 2022 of 78% comparatively versus the rest of the market. So we had our spike last year, whereas a lot of these places are having their spike this year, but kind of a little bit more normalized to 2022 if you look at the bar graph similarities of 2022 and 2024 versus 2023. So I think we're getting to kind of not a normalized market. I still think there's a lot to be sorted out, specifically with interest rates and where do they go and what do prices do. Okay. Now the next thing, days on market. This again is an indicator, days on market, the longer a home sits, the more inventory is going to stack up because new listings are going to keep on flowing into the market. And if their homes aren't selling, the inventory is going to increase, potentially putting pressures on prices. So these are not, price is obviously a lag indicator. Some lead indicators are homes under contract, which we're going to get to here shortly, closed sales, and days on market, and inventory. So those are some lead indicators for what will ultimately happen to pricing. And so as we're seeing right now, days on market is increasing. And if they continue to increase along with homes for sale, we could see some significant pressure on home prices because ultimately these 371 homes in Fort Collins, 269 in Loveland, they're not on the market just playing around. They're generally wanting to sell. And one of the biggest levers a seller can pull to sell the house is their price. If there's 6 houses in a neighborhood that are for sale, all exactly the same layout, same design, all that good stuff, 5 of them are listed at $600,000, and the 6th one is listed at $580,000. I don't know if I was saying that right. 5 at $600,000, and the 6th one's at $580,000. Which one do you think is going to sell? Which then would put a little bit of a marker for these other 5 on what they have to do to sell. So if this one sells at 580, these other 5 are going to see a lever pulled in prices. So I'm not saying, I definitely think what's currently going to happen is, again, some plateauing of prices, which we have seen for the last 18 months, but some lead indicators suggesting that inventory is increasing, days on market are increasing. And the next thing I want to show is on a line chart, percentage of original list. Now, this was, let's see how far back we can go. 5 years. 5 years isn't enough. Now, this is COVID, right? Middle to 2020 to end of 2022. That is the COVID real estate market. And I mean, holy cow, it was nuts. 106% of list price for Fort Collins, 103 for Loveland, 103 for Greeley. Summer of May of 2021, again, 103, 104% in Loveland. This was probably one of my least favorite real estate markets of all time, because essentially the conversation that we were having with our buyers was, on our consults, was the question you have to ask yourself is, at what price do you not like this house? Because the question was, well, what do you think it's going to go over? I'm like, well, on average, homes are going for, 104.7% or 103.2% above list price. So if you're at $600,000, that house is going to sell for around $618,000. Now, if the highest price you're willing to pay as a buyer is $610,000, well, we can absolutely make that offer, but is it possible that it goes for somebody higher? Sure. So that was just not a great time. Multiple offers, annoyance. Sellers had just absolute dominance on the market. Well, fast forward, we'll do 3 years. Fast forward now, over the summer, it was just kind of a ho-hum 100% of list price. Now, this isn't necessarily taking into consideration price reductions. About 33% of homes on the market were having price reductions prior to selling. So that wasn't necessarily taking that into consideration, because we actually took into account that 50% of homes were selling for less than their original list price when you take into consideration price reductions and list to final sales price. But now, as of the last 2 months in August, we were getting 98.5% of original list price. So you were getting 1.5% off of list. But in September, 97.4%. So you were getting 2.6% off of original or of the list price. Now, this is the median percent of list price, meaning half of homes were selling for more than 2.6% above under list price, but half of them were selling for more than that. So that to be said, buyers are having more leverage, more negotiating power, more ability to come to the table. Let's see here real quick. Let's go to max. Well, look at this, so in 2014, 99, all that. It just eventually, yes, a seller's going to have a lever to pull, which is price reductions. And then when it gets to that price that is, acceptable to the market, it's going to sell pretty close to list price. But until that time, they're going to have price reduction. So this is just kind of, you didn't even know as a seller, to a certain degree, you didn't even know what to list your home for. It's like, all right, what was our CMA? Let's put another 2 to 3% on top of that and see what happens. It's just throwing a blind dart as a seller. So of course you're going to go into the market, and it was just a frenzy of homes. The next thing I want to show is a bar chart of new listings. So Fort Collins is actually not getting a ton of a huge decrease of new listings, because we talked about these golden handcuffs as a seller. But I will tell you that, as of just the last few weeks, we've got at least 3 sellers that are open to the idea of getting rid of a 2.25, 2.75, or 3% loan and parlaying their equity into a better house, better suited for them home, but at a 5.5, 5.8, 6% interest rate. So these handcuffs of this notion of being married to the house because your interest rate, you're married to your interest rate, but you hate the house, are kind of coming by the wayside of like, well, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and do it. But we're not seeing a huge spike in new listings, which would be interesting. If we had what we haven't had is this disconnect of homes days on market increase. We're seeing that. We're seeing homes on the market increase. We're seeing that. But what we are not seeing is this spike in new listings. If we saw a spike in new listings while days on market was increasing, while homes were increasing, that's when we would probably see some really significant pressures. But what we're not seeing is that. We're seeing actually a reduction in new listings, just not nearly as fast as an increase of homes on the market or days on the market. But we've been in this high interest rate market since 2022. So this is kind of September shows it was June of 2022 that we began 6.5% and above interest rates. So, Windsor's kind of this market that's showing, again, this outlier of a market that's saying, hey, you know what? We've been in our house. We've been in our new house and we love it, but we are going to sell. And they're the biggest increase versus the other 3 on the market. So right now, Windsor, let's go look at homes for sale for Windsor. Man, yeah, a big increase comparatively. They were below Loveland, and as far as homes for sale, below Loveland and Greeley for both 2022 and 2023, but now they're approaching Loveland and surpassed Greeley as far as homes for sale. And they have a 95.8% increase in homes for sale in Windsor versus other communities. So opportunities, possibly percentage of final list price, 98%. So you could see that drop a little bit possibly for Windsor. Closed sales. This has been a little bit of a decrease for each of the properties. Now, what we're going to see next is homes under contract. So homes for sale, these are closed homes that closed in the month of September. We really didn't start to see interest rates decreasing until the beginning of September, middle of September. And so our homes that went under contract actually did pop up quite a bit. But their closed sales were shrinking. It was just like, people were saying, hey, you know what? Affordability is an issue. Maybe we'll wait till next year to buy, next spring to homes come on the market. But wait, interest rates decreased. And what happened? Boom, we had a huge increase in homes under contract. So, and we haven't even seen all of it yet because there's a prediction of a lot of different places, like JP Morgan's suggesting that there's going to be 100 basis points in total in 2024 as far as cuts. We've had 50 basis points cut, but potentially more. And interest rates right now we'll look at here shortly. But we saw a big pop in Fort Collins, not Loveland, but in Windsor too. So Windsor is this interesting market that's having, more homes for sale, bigger days on market, the sales price, but we're also seeing the market is super, active in Windsor as well. So again, it's one of those markets that is definitely growing in population, expected a potentially 50% growth over the next 17 years. So affordability is huge. It's key. Okay, I got to stop showing because then I want to show my interest rates. Let me see here. Stop screen, present, share screen. Come on. All right, here we go. Share. Now, interest rates. Let's look at 6 months. Comparatively to 6 months ago, especially at our high at 7.12%, we're down closer to 6% right now. We did have this kind of bounce back, and a lot of lenders were talking about it, like, hey, they had already priced in a 25 basis point cut. What happened was 50 basis points, and it's stagnated since that September 17th meeting. Interest rates have really stagnated, if not come up a little bit on the 30-year fixed. We saw as low as 5.5% paying no points. We had, you could get down to 5% if you were to be willing to pay a point. And so this is kind of retail lenders. Just had a client that was quoted at I think it was $1 million loan. We're under contract, $1 million loan, 30-year fixed at 6.125%, and they're perfect as far as credit goes. So that's kind of an example. Now that's a jumbo. So again, even that's not retail because retail is at 6.416 for a jumbo loan. But if you are prime credit and have a good stroke for down payments, 740, 780 plus credit score, whether it was probably a mortgage broker or a credit union, you could probably see 5.75, 5.875%. You could probably find it, shop it, and have a lender that's willing to do that. A retail lender is going to be closer to that 6%, 6.125%. Now, the conversation was like, hey, like buyers were kind of waiting to see what interest rates were doing. They got the cut. We let a lot of our clients know, like, hey, it was a bigger cut than it was expected, but interest rates have popped up a little bit. But we are prepping a lot of our clients that have bought since June of 2022. We've had 81 clients on the buyer side close since June of 2022 that we're negotiating with our lender a refinance package so that when that time comes, I'm not saying that it's right now, But when that time comes, we've negotiated in how the lender's getting paid, and how they're, what type of credit they're giving to the borrower, because, hey, it's like, hey, if we can get them 80 plus clients, they can make a lot of money. Let's give our clients as good of a deal as possible so that they can refinance, from that 7.5, 7.25, 8% loan. We had a client that closed, I think it was like mid eights, because it was kind of a non-conventional loan because of the type of income that they produced. So, we are prepping for that. I'm not saying that it's right now. The Fed next meets November, first week or two of November, and then again in December. So the market has still a lot of movement left to do. Now, I want to talk about kind of just anecdotally what's happening with our team and the market. We've had a lot of reach outs in the last week. We've had, and we were gone in Arizona on a team retreat, and I was like, geez, we got to go to Arizona a whole lot more, because I think it was in 3 days we had 5 reach outs of people that were considering a move to Northern Colorado and living in the area. So there is, I think, a lot of anticipation and excitement on the sidelines from buyers of like, hey, if they really do settle in the mid 5s to low 5s, we're ready to go. Now, on the seller side, I can tell you that there's a lot of anxiety and fear of like, if we don't get this home on the market like ASAP, what's it going to look like? And the recommendation that we're telling our sellers is if you're not either on the market or like a week or 2 from being on the market, the best thing you could probably do right now, unless you absolutely have to, is wait till March or April of next year to list. It is getting into the holiday season. We are prime time, middle of school right now. While we have some phenomenal weather here in Fort Collins, Northern Colorado, it's gonna get cold eventually. People don't like to move or risk the move during those times. Not to say that they don't, but it's a great time as far as a buyer, opportunistic buyers, to come in and be able to negotiate, contingencies, concessions, pricing, terms, dates, all that kind of stuff. In the last 10 years of selling real estate, this is probably one of, because in 2017, 18, I want to say it was like 2018, it did get pretty slow there for a minute. And there was some good negotiations, but since 2011, 12, I mean, Northern Colorado, gosh dang my neck. Since 2011, 12, Fort Collins, Northern Colorado in general has been just on fire. So this has been some of the best negotiating opportunities for buyers that I've seen. And as a seller, you have got to really look at how you're pricing your house, what the market is suggesting, maybe even a little bit of a discount if you're looking at a home that closed in July versus a home that you're putting on the market now, maybe having to give yourself a little bit of a discount for that. What are you doing to market that home? Are you prepping that house? Now, I will also tell you, we had an agent offer on a house in Miramont, and we were a cash buyer. There were multiple offers and we didn't touch it, and it was above list price. So there are still those homes that are in great areas, super turnkey ready, priced relatively well, that are getting multiple offers. But then, we just got a home that was originally listed for mid to upper 1 millions, and we're on the lower quarter of the $1 million homes. So that house had to have some significant price reductions. And I think, especially based on the price per square foot, we're getting a phenomenal deal long-term in a great neighborhood. So negotiations are happening like crazy right now. We're getting reach outs from listing agents. We're reaching out as the listing agent saying, hey, bring us the offer. We'd love to look at it. So in general, it's a much more balanced market than we've seen over the last 10, 12 years that I've been in the business. And it's been good. It's been interesting to watch. We're very fortunate, have some great agents, some great clients, and so doing a lot of business. I'm sticking around here for a few minutes to answer any questions, or if you want me to show you anything in particular, I've got it all pulled up. let's see here. I'll just share my screen for a little bit longer. Oh, actually, I'm going to stop that one. You guys don't care too much about interest rates, do you? All right. And I'll just kind of go off the cuff and keep an eye on the questions if you guys have any. I'm only sticking around right here for another 2 to 4 minutes if you guys have questions. Otherwise, I'm out. And I appreciate you guys watching. But yeah, under contract, clearly, like when interest rates dropped, they dropped to mid fives on mortgage brokers, and it was not a huge. We talked with one lender, and they said they are busy as busy can be, but then they kind of rebound a little bit, and interest rates jumped up a touch, a smidge, not crazy, but just a smidge. This on the line graph over its max, I think, on a rolling 12. This is what I was just truly hoping for when we were right here in the throes of crazy price appreciation. I was just hoping that the home sales prices really did flatten out. And as a friend who actually just reached out to me yesterday told me, recursion to the mean, I think we're going to get there. It's just going to take a few years, which we're 18 months in, of flat, stagnant prices. And it's going to just take a couple more years to get back to that average annual growth of 5%, 5.5%. So I'm not seeing any questions. Don't want to prolong everybody's day. Appreciate you guys reaching out. If you guys have any comments, feel free to comment below. If you're considering relocating or buying, selling, or investing here in Northern Colorado, my team and I would love to have that conversation with you. We are really dialing in all of our systems, and I think are able to provide our clients with world-class service. So we just got done with our team retreat and just thrilled, really excited about what the future has for us. And otherwise, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. We have 75% of people who watch this channel who are not subscribers. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, it's a vanity metric, but I appreciate it. Until next time, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, quick personal story, and then I'm done. Went to the doctor's office today for my son's annual checkup. He's everything's looking great, all that good stuff. And then the doctor looks in his ear, and the doctor says, "Oh, nice, a little gem in there." And I thought she was just joking, being kind of joke. And she goes, "No, seriously." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Yes, there's a gem in your son's ear." And I'm like, "Fudge." Okay. She's like, "Come look." And there is a green something in my son's ear. So tomorrow we have to go to the ear, nose, and throat doctor. And I'm like, "Rocky, when did you put something in your ear?" And he's like, "I don't know." All right, buddy. Well, it seemingly does not hurt him, but he legit has something green in his ear, living in his ear. So tomorrow, this trip to the ear, nose, and throat doctor. So appreciate you guys watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. See ya. Bye.